It's been a nerve-wracking couple of days, I can tell you. A spectacular world record attempt, 2 high flyers ready to dive at 37,000 feet. One slip, then that dreadful empty feeling, not knowing if they're going to make it back alive. The adventurers were Glenn Singleman and Heather Swan, those 2 Australians who get their kicks jumping off mountains and flying, yes, flying, back to Earth. This time, though, they were planning to leap from a hot air balloon and ride the jet stream that howls across Central Australia at 200 kilometres an hour, thus setting a new world record. Well, that was the plan. It's the ultimate leap of faith. Over the remote desert of Central Australia, Glenn Singleman and Heather Swan are preparing to dive into the stratosphere at an altitude usually the domain of jumbo jets. Their lives entirely dependent upon a small cylinder of oxygen and world that sees one of them stumble and fall from 37,000 feet. This Sydney husband and wife team have been wingsuit flying for the past 6 years, but in their quest to set new world records, their skills will be truly tested.
So worst case scenario, the oxygen fails at 39,000 feet. We've got about a minute of useful consciousness before we become incapacitated.
You can't have any skin exposed?
Yeah, the temperature up there is minus 50 or so exposed skin freezes in about 30 seconds, especially with a lot of wind blowing over it, like when we're flying in the wingsuits.
Heather and Glenn have come to Central Australia to fly further in a wingsuit than anyone has ever flown before. To do that, they'll have to ascend 39,000 feet in a hot air balloon to catch a jet stream that blows across Australia.
It howls up there at about 100 knots or 200 kilometres an hour, and we'll have that pushing us along. And added to the speed of the suits, which is also about 200 kilometres an hour, we'll be crossing the ground at around 400 kilometres an hour for 7 minutes.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad. Better than a Ferrari.
Wingsuits are man's latest answer to flying. Custom-made suits which fill with air, enabling the wearer to maintain elevation and the ability to glide.
You fly like a bird, like an eagle, like a hawk, like you imagined it was when you were a kid. You streak across the sky. It's fantastic. It is personal human flight. There is nothing like it except being a bird.
We can be up there and be flying around the clouds, geeking at each other, barrel rolling, playing with the birds. That's just fun. It makes me happy.
Like birds of prey, they soar across the sky and swoop through valleys. This is an extreme sport, which brings with it extreme outcomes. At least 4 Australian wingsuiters have been killed in the last 6 years.
What's happened?
Glenn Singleman has weighed up the risks.
Well, let's put him in bed 9. We'll get some oxygen.
And as a trauma specialist doctor, says his choice of sport, if approached with care, is no more dangerous than those everyday pursuits chosen by many of his patients.
Look, I work in an emergency department. I'm very, very familiar with death, more familiar with death than most people. And I understand that we all die as a result of the lifestyle choices that we make. If you choose to eat a greasy pork chop every night for dinner and put on heaps of weight, you'll get diabetes, you'll get heart disease, and you will die from it. Those are the choices that you make. Whereas to do the stuff that we do, we have to be fit, healthy, strong, clear, mentally alert.
We take off on the CTAF frequency.
But to break a world record, this mission also requires military planning
If anything happens, I can fly to there and back.
and diligent attention to detail.
I have some familiarity with the environment, but I'm still nervous about it. I am, genuinely concerned and want to make sure.
According to plan. All that pure oxygen next to the open flame of burners could prove disastrous.
This could, if it goes flick over here, could provide interesting fuel.
At 39,000 feet, nothing can afford to go wrong.
We're really trusting a lot to John, and we're also trusting that he won't be hypoxic, that he won't be incapacitated. But if any of that happens, well, you just don't get out. Just come down.
It's 4 a.m. and jump day, and everyone's feeling the pressure.
How are you feeling, Heather?
Pretty good, actually. Yep, feel ready. A little bit nervous, got a little bit of the stomach action going on. Which I wish would go away, because once that suit goes on, nothing else is coming out.
How about you, Glenn?
Yeah, this is the moment of truth. This is always the most nerve-wracking time. And yeah, I do feel nervous now. It's pretty wild. We're going out to the edge, so.
Going to the rim.
Heather and Glenn, they're how much preparation Glenn and Heather and their team have done, no matter how much knowledge they have. Now that it's crunch time, I've got to say I feel more than a little nervous for them. At 39,000 feet, it only takes one thing to go wrong for them all to be in perilous danger. Glenn and Heather have 11 minutes of oxygen in the cylinders they'll jump with. If all goes according to plan, they'll be back on the ground in 7 minutes. Before first light, the balloon takes flight. And even before they're in the jet stream, there's trouble. The pilot light in the balloon's burners go out. At just over 37,000 feet, Glenn and Heather step out on to their personal cylinders.
Let's change you over, guys.
Suddenly, Glenn begins to slump, dizzy from the effects of low oxygen, and without warning, falls backwards off the platform. Heather doesn't know what's happened and wants to follow. But in a decision that may well have saved her life, pilot John Wallington pulls her back into the basket.
Sorry to do that to you, Heather.
For a distressed Heather, it's a shocking moment. No one knows what's happened to Glenn.
Oscar Pa, there is only one skydiver, only one spot skydiver.
Copy that.
Heather is still in the balloon. Confirming Heather is still in the balloon.
You mean she didn't go? Go. Okay, there's a problem then.
But thousands of feet below the balloon, Glenn recovers and is able to fly.
Helicopter November, uniform November, parachutist 1 is to your south. November, November, uniform November. Uniform November.
Standing in the desert, we find him, a solitary figure waiting and still coming to terms with what's just happened.
You okay?
Whoa.
Done.
Oh, God.
How was it?
Oh, I fell off the platform. John was doing me up and I just fell straight back off the platform.
Oh my God.
And that's why Heather didn't jump. Because I just went straight off.
So,
And it was a bit disorientating, like, wow, there's the... Oh, no. So I just flipped over and I saw that, I figured I couldn't see Heather. So I just sort of turned over and flew. But I'm so cold I can hardly speak.
I'm just glad to see you got to the ground.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, me too.
But for Heather and the balloon crew, a soft landing looks out of the question. This mission means this won't be a normal balloon landing. 30-knot winds are now propelling them across the desert. Even a tree fails to stop them. It takes all the extraordinary skills of pilot Sean Kavanagh to bring the balloon to a halt.
You are so, truly, watching you bring that down was extraordinary.
He did an extraordinary job of it. Absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
That was
It was
better
awesome.
than any ride
Best
I've
thing
ever
is, this is Heather's first balloon landing.
Wow.
And the last.
You guys all right?
Yeah.
God,
You left without me.
that landing made parachuting look safe.
While it all didn't go according to plan, the team has broken several records for the highest balloon flight and parachute drop in Australia and a world record for the highest wingsuit jump. But next time Heather and Glenn try this, they'll do it together.
Hello, I'm Sarah Abo. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our Extra Minutes segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.